I wanted to show you is just kind of migrating from Blackboard to Canvas. I think most of us are probably Blackboard users. Kind of just get an idea before I do that. Who here is actually exported into Blackboard before and then imported into Blackboard? Okay, okay. So it sounds like everybody's done that pretty much. And so I do want, I don't think I'm going to show you the video, but there is a really good tool of a video of how to do that that Karen Korstadt put together. And it is on the TIC website. And so instead of just going over this 3-minute video, if you haven't done it before, what I'm going to recommend is you just go ahead and even it's on YouTube right now. Just write down exporting Blackboard course at Miracosta College, and this exact YouTube video will show up. It's a 3-minute video that Karen put together. The only difference is when you do export from Blackboard, I think we were talking about in the earlier session, is you do not want to export all. In Karen's video, she says click export all, but that was assuming you were just going to import it back into another Blackboard course. In this case, my recommendation is that you do an export for discussions, an export for quizzes, and then do a separate export for your announcements. They're kind of just, you heard earlier that we've all decided that you're probably easier, it's easier if you then individually transfer the other pieces, the content over from Blackboard separately without using this export tool there. Yes?
Are you saying do each one of those as an individual export?
You know what? I found it came out beautifully that way, and it didn't take that long.
So do 3 exports.
Yeah, you're going to do the 3 exports there. And then for each export, you're going to get the zip file. Make sure you get a zip file, because it's that zip file that you're going to be able to then put into, the next step is you're going to be putting it into your Canvas course there. And everybody, I'm assuming, knows how to get to Canvas now?
No.
Okay. You could do it's HTTP. Right up here. But you know what? Better yet, as of this week, we finally, under the A through Z index on our Miracosta website, we have the Canvas button there. So that will make it real easy versus having to type it out. The other thing I do know, right where it actually says Blackboard on our Miracosta website, that should be changing in the next few weeks. I was hoping it'd be done before school starts, but I haven't seen it yet. But that link, instead of saying Blackboard, will be online learning. And then all 3 will be populated in there. But again, Jim's writing how to get to Canvas. It could either be from the A through Z, or you can type it in. Typing up.
So the direct route is Miracosta.instructure. Instructure is the parent company of Canvas.com. But you can also use Miracosta A to Z index and find Canvas. You can also go to Miracosta's online education page, which is just the short URL for that is miracosta.edu/online. If you go to miracosta.edu/online, you'll see 3 links right at the top of that page for Blackboard, Moodle, and Canvas. So that's a nice way right now to think about it, because you're probably using more than one system, students are using more than one system, so that will take you there. And as Gail mentioned, the Blackboard link at the top of every web page is going to change to Online Ed, which will take you to this page, so that then you can choose the system you want to use.
And if you are going to be using Canvas for any one of your classes this coming spring, make sure before classes start you let the students know that this class will be using Canvas, and give them a direct link. And that way the students know exactly where to go. I'm giving them the infrastructure link, and then I'm also saying if you lose that, can't remember it, you can always go through the A through Z and get Canvas in that form or fashion. I did have a good question during the break too, as we're talking about Canvas, is there was assumption that you have to change all your classes to Canvas at one time. No, you can actually do one course at a time. So if you want to slowly change over and you're teaching 3 different courses, you know, this spring or the summer maybe is your first one, and then you can slowly add 1 or 2 more courses down the road, so you're not overwhelmed. So I hope you come away from this that you're not so overwhelmed. So do it slowly, one at a time. Okay. So let me go ahead since we all, yeah.
Just a quick question, is there also an export the same way for Moodle?
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, they're okay.
Yeah.
So
So
we
if
do
you have
the same way?
specific Moodle questions, I'm happy to field them anytime. I'm really done, I teach film.
Oh, okay.
If, yeah, it's the same idea. You do an export file, and then it's just when you import into Canvas, it's a different type of import file.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so that's,
Thank you.
actually, I do know that if you look, and let me go ahead, I did a video, I know I'm losing my voice, and so I thought, let me get a video going of how now to.
Hi everyone. In this video we are going to look at how to import directly into Canvas, and I'm going to be starting you off on my dashboard, and let's go ahead and just go to this Nutrition 100 course that I have, and let's say I have already exported everything from my Blackboard course and now I want to import it into this course here. And the first thing you already should have someplace on your computer, either the desktop or under downloads, is that zip file from the export. Very simply, you just need to go to your settings. That's going to be on the right hand side. And then on the left hand side, it's going to pop up in your settings, just you're going to import content into this course. And so you're going to click on that. You're going to select the content type. Since we're coming from Blackboard and you have received a zip file, it's real important that you click this Blackboard export with the zip file. So you're going to click on that, and now you need to find the zip file. I put mine on my desktop here. So here it is right here, the export file. You're going to open that up. And it is recommended that some of these options you definitely just keep blank. And as I mentioned before, that you're better off not exporting everything from Blackboard. And in this case, if you're going to do a couple items, it's still recommended that you export separately the discussions, you export the quizzes separately, you export the announcements separately. So I would just leave it as is, and just click on your import button here, and then the import process will start. It does take a little bit, and just watch your email inbox for notification that the import is complete.
So it's that simple. I mean, it's
Hi,
just,
everyone.
oops, I don't want to hear
In
me
this
again.
video, we're
So simply is just, once you have that zip file that you got from the Blackboard, you're going to go to settings. You all as instructors have settings on your account, and then you're just going to import content. Yes.
So say if I use Blackboard at San Diego State, can I do the same thing for a course? Like,
Yeah.
okay, so it's not just within Miracosta.
Yeah, exactly,
Okay,
because it's
perfect.
going to be made as a zip file.
Okay.
And it's your zip file, so you can actually, that's great for those of you that teach at other locations, that you'll be able to do that there, okay? So let me see.
Can you import rubrics? Like grading rubrics?
Is anybody trying to do that? I haven't done that.
I haven't successfully done that.
Okay.
Okay.
They're really easy to create
In Canvas,
Okay.
so I just copy pasted it and go fast.
and the
Okay.
speed grader in Canvas is will kind of blow your mind if you dig into it. And
Okay.
so you can copy those rubric, details over pretty quickly.
Okay, good to know. Thank
I
you.
want to say one thing, Gail. So in Moodle, I would recommend doing the exact same thing that Canvas is saying, is bringing content items individually. The discussions, assignments, quizzes, bringing those separately, just the way that you're explaining. Just the same idea. If you bring everything in, a complete course copy, it's not going to look the way you want it to look.
Yeah, and then everything And so it's been a lot of fun, and I think we've reiterated this enough, is just the importance of kind of just doing, it's copying the course and bringing things over one at a time. And it's just kind of having to rebuild a course, just think of rebuilding your home.
Does that apply also to, if you have lectures? I have a lot of lectures that I've created.
In terms of, yeah, your lectures, you probably just want to download and then re-upload them.
Okay.
Into the Canvas. And that way you know where they are and you can make them nice and simple. Because I actually had content that was showing up in folders and it took me 2 days to find out, but I know I sent it over and it just, Canvas decides where it's gonna put it and with no rhyme and reason. And so that's why it was so much easier when I just did it step by step.
On Blackboard, I can make like my own like table of contents. Can I do that on, like
No,
on
you
that?
cannot.
Cannot. So all my assignments are,
That's where, and I know that I had course documents and I called them units.
yeah,
And you are pretty much
locked in.
using locked in with like modules, so I did have to change even some verbiage there to make sure that kind of matched to what Canvas. Now there is, under the LTI, there's an app that you can do. I was able to actually add some other apps here, like I wanted tutorials. I wanted where students, so I was able to add a tutorial app. That's where it gets a little bit more techy there, but that's definitely doable. But in terms of like where you're gonna get, the syllabus is always gonna be there, the modules is a term that we're just all gonna have to change over. But if you talk to students, they like it, because now they know all their instructors are using the same language.
Yeah. Can you make some of those on the left-hand column right there so that the students can't see it?
Yes, yes. See, actually what you see in the gray up here, that's hidden from a student.
So is there an instructor-student button that you could press like there is on Blackboard?
Absolutely,
Back and
absolutely.
forth?
It's, you can actually go to settings here, and you're gonna go student view. And you'll see all of a sudden, my gray, I only have 4 buttons up there.
Okay.
And so that makes it very easy. And it's under settings too, that you can decide where you're gonna be hiding or being able to show content there. Okay? So I pretty much went through all that, so let me go ahead.
I think it's also worth mentioning that a lot of that stuff is grayed out by default, but as soon as like you create a page and you publish it, then the page's link automatically becomes active for students as well because you published.
Right, okay,
So
yeah.
it's kind of smart about not showing students things where there really isn't anything to look at, but as soon as you create something that you want students to look at, then it also
it
becomes
populates.
available. But if, for example, you don't want the students looking at that yet, then you can manually hide that from them.
Right.
I'll talk about manipulating the course navigation menu in the next session.
Okay, so let me, actually, I'm gonna go back, actually, I'm authorized here.
Are you
Get out of
gonna do
student
report?
view.
Oh, I'm in student view, that's why I'm not authorized, and real easy, leave student view, there we are. Okay, so let's go ahead and spend more time on the meat. I think that's where a lot of you are looking at, is just kind of how to design your coursework in Canvas. And I actually want, since you're all on computers, I'm actually going to give you some kind of a little bit of assignments to maybe do some trial and error here. I know a lot of you are new faces from the last session, and that what I mentioned there is the way I've designed my courses, and you're going to hear from a bunch of us today, is the non-techie route. Okay? I did not use HTML or any of that in any of my coursework, so it's pretty simple the way I designed it, and I've set up my coursework where they all have an enter in button, then information kind of like I'm new or something of that sort, where there's a lot of tutorials and just introduction of myself, and then it's on modules, and I have 8 modules, so there's 2 weeks in each of these modules here, and so kind of as a recap, I can just show you a couple things in terms of entering here, you can easily either have a link to any of your videos that you want to show, hyperlink it, or just to show you the next page, you can easily embed the video itself. And I do, and I think all of us agree, it's really good
Welcome to Nutrition
to have kind of a welcome, and since for some of our students, this is gonna be the first time using Canvas. So in every Canvas, you can see it's slightly different from one instructor to the next, so it's good that you do these introductory videos using screencast and walk students through how your course is organized, and that typically helps students out quite a bit there. So the next button is how they're gonna navigate through, or they can go back to the home page. Again, I always like tutorials that help students, since this may be the first time like us, it's new for us, it's also new for students, and Canvas has probably much more than Blackboard, all kinds of support for instructors. In fact, I have had to call up the Canvas support hotline. You get a live person right away, and it is 24 hours a day. So if you're working on this at midnight, you can be calling up somebody and you will give a live person, and the response has been great. They follow up with you with an email the next day, and you can continue the dialogue if your question hasn't been resolved.
Can you show how that, you get to that by clicking that help button?
Which help button are you looking
On
at?
the bottom left of the blue bar on the left. It's hard to see up there because
Okay. Right down here.
yeah, so everybody, students and faculty, have that help. If you click that, it gives you our local student help desk, employee help desk. It also gives you that Canvas support 24/7 hotline number, which is free for all of our faculty and students to use. So you can call for local help from student help desk, employee help desk, and of course me, but you can also always talk to somebody at Canvas.
And then again, students can get it there. I put it directly here for them. Again, just an introduction of myself. And since a lot of you weren't here from the last, in terms of my modules, the way I set up my modules is that I always start kind of with an overarching concepts, and note that I did put hyperlinks. There's so many access points to our coursework. But students, I want them to go through maybe 20 pages in a module if it's an all online class, and maybe they've gone through most of it and they just need to finish up the last activity within that 2 weeks. They could easily come back just to that first page and click on the activity, complete the activity, or maybe they want to complete the quiz at the end. It's real easy to hyperlink to these particular units here, and I'll show you in a second how to go about doing that. But we talked a little bit about discussions. The way I set up my discussions in online class, they just have to answer one of these particular questions, and then they click here to reply, and they answer. That's one, I have to say, disadvantage to Canvas. If you have a large class, my online classes in nutrition typically are 50, 55 students. You know how big that gets. It just gets to be one long scroll. So I do recommend that if you have large classes, you break up students into small groups, and they're more likely to read their classmates. If not, I tried it this last semester without having in groups, and the first 3 replies were the ones that everybody, because I also have them come back and reply to a classmate. And so they all replied to the first top 3, and they didn't read anything further. So you really need to break it into smaller groups to have a good, vibrant discussions. Very easy to upload any of your PowerPoints, and so I upload, PowerPoints there too. I always add, just to make sure I have some type of transcript so they can read it if they don't want to, listen to me. You can see, again, I have a lot of images that I upload and attachments. Let me just show you something really cool. With these attachments, you can have them as a PDF, like that, or maybe you want them just to read it on that page. And so they could download it, but if I edit it here, which is going to be your edit button.
What are you in right now? Because we can't really see. Is that pages?
Yes, I'm in Pages right now. If I go here and I highlight this, and I go up to this link to a URL, actually that's not working. Why is that not working, that one?
It's already
should, and I'll,
It's a file, right? You're wanting to change the file.
I wanted to show the whole file where it shows
Right,
up on the
so
page.
it's not about the URL, it's about file.
Okay,
So you might just re-add the file and show how it would work if you were.
let me go over here and do it. This is something also with the syllabus. See, I'm still learning along with you. Not everything works out always the way you wanted to do it. See, in the syllabus, which you can have the syllabus here, if I wanted to, see if this is going to work here, edit here, and I wanted to show the whole syllabus. Okay, see, this is what I was hoping the other one would look like. If I wanted to click on the auto open, that means that they'll be able to preview that whole syllabus right on that page.
Oh, nice.
How did he get there from?
Did it work? Let's try that again. There, it's gonna work. Takes a little bit of time. That's taking longer than I expected. It should look like, let me just show you what I showed the class earlier. When it does it, it should come back in the syllabus. See how it's loading here? You should be able to, when you do that, have it look like this whole syllabus showing right up there. So students can still download it, print it off, but yeah, I like it right in front of them, the entire syllabus. And so I'm not sure why that other page is not quite doing it right now, but it does take a little bit of time to download, and I do recommend that you have it kind of as many ways, especially since these are course contracts, you have it right in front of them, and there's no questions when it comes to a syllabus. Okay, so let me get back to course design. And a couple other things, if we're just going through, you can see how I can go next. If I have students too, another access point is they can click on modules. And then they can go to module 2 and they could go directly to, maybe they read everything but they wanted to go back to handouts to read, they can click on that. Here is the quiz. There's one other just note that I want to bring up is with quizzes, that with our Canvas, they don't recognize extra credit questions. And so if you have a quiz, and you know how in Blackboard you were able to check off that this was an extra credit question, so it ended up being if you had a quiz that was 25 points, and you had 2 checks offs as, you know, for extra credit, it would still show that that quiz was worth 25 points, even though they may actually have gotten 27 points on it. Canvas doesn't recognize that. And so unfortunately, you always have to let students know that there's, 26 questions, 1 point is extra, that's gonna be offered, which is extra credit, but it kind of throws off the grade book slightly when you do that. So I always tell students, go back and look at points, don't look at the percentage necessarily if you are gonna be using extra credit. I've gone ahead in most of my classes, and unfortunately because of that, and I like to get the percents, the students always look at percents, if they have, 90% or 85%, gotten rid of some of the extra credit questions this way. on quizzes.
Can you drop a quiz?
Yes, I know you can. I have not done that, and I probably would follow up with Karen, course data on that in terms of dropping quizzes.
It's easy, you can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done it.
Okay. And maybe in one of the workshops that we can have Billy show you how to drop the quiz.
You can do
And
that, yeah, I'll talk about it, I'll put it on the list.
Okay, good. Okay. And then again, the activities are great that you could do, and they simply here is we're talking a lot about the speed grader. It's very easy. All your students will line up here. Their papers will be here. If you have the rubrics added, the rubrics will show up, and you just have to click on the rubrics, and the points will populate right away. It's probably the easiest grading, and for those of you, again, my classes are typically 50 plus students, and it's a lot of reading and grading to take place, and it has saved me a tremendous amount of times, and that's one of the reasons why I thought I would do a slow transition over to Canvas. I'm doing all my classes over to Canvas, just because the grading is far better than Blackboard ever was there. And so let me go ahead, so that was, I would move on to the next module here, but I wanted to go ahead and talk a little bit more about the assignments. And this is kind of why I want to do some hands-on practice with assignments. And one thing is when you do assignments, anything that has points or an assignment will get populated into the grade book. And so you want to make sure, even if you actually say, I don't do my extra credit now in the ways of quizzes, but I'll do my extra credit and maybe some extra assignments. Or, in nutrition, it could be just going to the health services and getting their blood tests for HDLs and LDLs. And I still have to put that as an assignment. I can give it 0 points because it's extra credit, but you have to make sure it's designed, and that's the way it will get into your grade book here. But when you do assignments, you're just going to go to pages, and you're going to be able to edit it. And if you have your Blackboard up now, go ahead and just go to, an assignment, go to one of your pages, and see if you can kind of create your own assignment. You need to give it a name, so I'll name it just my activity sample. And let's say you need to do the points, it's out of 25 points. And this is where it's real important, is to make sure that you actually have the right assignment grouping. You're going to be able to give it a title. Is it just going to be general assignments? Or, and that's where I call my activities. We do them in activities. That was something I carried over from Blackboard. And so my activities would be my assignments. I could also type it down and put a new grouping and call it activity too. All your tests, you could choose to have your final and your midterm. You could turn that different in the new group if you wanted to. Your discussion questions, and if you're going to do a Turnitin assignment, that's where you're going to click on the Turnitin assignment. I personally, I've always used Turnitin in Blackboard. I used Turnitin this last fall in my class, and I had a few issues with it. And it's because Turnitin is an outside of Canvas. And because I don't get a whole lot of plagiarism, I've only probably in my career seen it twice, I thought I'm really not using the plagiarism tool as much. And so I've now, this semester, I'm trying all my classes and just doing the assignment link Turnitin. And I've heard that that actually works out better. You still can grade Turnitin in the speed grader. It was just kind of that outside link of another company that Turnitin. But again, this is if you are going to use Turnitin, that's where it's going to be. And just a new group here. So I'm just going to call it, let's say that this is just going to be an assignment group. And if you didn't want to do it in terms of points, you're used to using your percentages, this is when you can put either, grade, you could do percentages, you can do they either completed or they didn't complete it there. And so I'm going to do points. And I think Blackboard also have this. You can decide if it's going to be counted towards the final grade or not there. Now, this is pretty cool, is that you're going to decide how they're going to submit it to you. So if it's going to be on online submission, and if it's going to be on paper, and then in terms of online, what I like to do is a lot of times it's going to be some type of file upload. And so you can actually decide, well, I'm going to restrict the file upload. Maybe I only want documents, DOC or DOCX. Maybe it's a PowerPoint they have to present it, so maybe you only want PowerPoints. Maybe you've decided in your class because you only want, PDF format. You can decide right here of how you're going to do it, and students then will see exactly what they need to submit. So you could just type that there, and right there in the instructions they'll get that they have to submit it in DOC or DOCX or PDF or whatever that you choose that you want to use there. Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Right now I don't have the instructor access, but I do Blackboard instructing for a course, for a program that I run every day. Do I have to request the instructor access one?
If you're an instructor here, you should have access.
I'm not an instructor, but
Okay.
I just put together Blackboard assignments for the for a program, the Cowboys program that they do.
Okay, then you may have to request
Okay.
a link in. I know all instructors that have a course that all have access,
Yeah,
but
I
you may
do
be a
on
little
Blackboard.
different, yeah.
I have it on Blackboard, but I'm just looking at this now and it's not.
You don't have it, okay, then you may have to request that.
Okay.
I'm new too, and I have my Surf ID and my password, and I can get on a couple of things, but I can't get on Blackboard, I can't get on Canvas. So, I don't know if it's just they have to link it all together, or if I need to go talk to someone.
And you're an instructor?
Yeah.
You should have access to those as
I've
part.
tried Blackboard and Canvas today and yesterday, it doesn't,
When did you get signed up?
last week, I think.
Should have gone through by now. Yeah, you should contact AIS, contact the employee help desk and
Employee
Yeah.
help desk, okay.
Yeah. Okay. And then here are just when, who you're going to assign it. Maybe it's an extra just for a student, and you can put the student there, or to everyone, it populates to everyone. And then this is where you put the due date. This is the time, the due date that you put here is what's going to populate into the calendar, and it's also going to populate into your syllabus. And so,
That's
and
what I
once you
thought.
have it here, it's going to go everywhere, so students know exactly the due dates.
So when you had your syllabus and then it had those due dates underneath, which I thought was really cool.
That's where it
what
came
does
from.
it. Okay.
That's where it came from, right there.
thanks.
Yeah. So, again, just using this, you can decide, okay, it's gonna be due on the 27th. They want you to do it twice. So make sure you have a due date, and then unless you're gonna have it due, and then it's still gonna be open for another 5 days. You can actually have it set up that way too. That's why they have the 2 buttons. I typically have my due date and have it open until the due date also. Because when you grade it, they'll still see your comments, even if this is closed.
But do you have to set like from today till January 7th, or?
If you
Or is it
have it
automatically?
available, right now, that means it's gonna be available right now.
Okay.
But a lot of my modules later on, they're closed until earlier on. And so that way, if I want it open right now, you just keep it blank. But if you want it to open at a particular date, then you would be able to put that date in. And then what you're gonna save it there.
What about if I turn it in late? Can you still have it open, but it marks it late?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Blackboard used to do? Okay.
Yes, you'll definitely be able to do that. And that's why some students, some instructors want to have it available maybe for another week for those late papers that do come in there. This is the coolest thing I think that they offer for any assignments that you're going to be grading. It's this rubric. It's so easy to do. You're just going to take your criteria and then figure out the points. And you can actually play around with the points. If the first part's going to be 10 points and you want to out, you just keep adding it in, and you can see how the points will actually break down there. And you can name it. You can decide how the criteria is going to be.
Oh.
So you're going to be writing, what the criteria description is. And I'm pretty detailed on that. And so students know exactly how they're grading, and and they do like this particular system, so I recommend it. And I've gone back, I've never used rubrics in my old, students kind of knew how I was grading, and I would give them a long, lengthy comments of why they were, dropped down some points. But now I don't even have to do that. I just pull up the rubrics and boom, they know exactly how they're being graded, so it makes it a lot easier for them. Okay. Any other questions? Something I missed on assignments?
Did you get the rubric?
And once you save it, it will populate then on the next page.
Let me,
Yeah, but it's
yeah.
hard to find to begin with.
You can also create rubrics on the outcome course menu on the left side. If you click outcomes, and then in the upper right hand corner, it's really hidden. It's kind of frustrating. That little dash, see on the right hand side of the screen?
Those dots?
Small, those dots, sorry. Yeah, if you click that, it pulls down manage rubrics, and then from here you can add rubrics. So you can create all your rubrics at once.
Okay. See, that's I've
Yeah.
never done that
One
way.
of the
That's
things
perfect.
the other thing about rubric, the other just tip I'll give is to make sure you have a 0 in there for each item, or it will mess with your percentages.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So if it's 0 to 5, don't just have 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Make sure you have a 0, or the percentages will come out wonky.
Okay.
Another cool thing with the rubrics is if you adjust the rubric, it'll save it as a new one. So if you have like a 30-point rubric or a 20-point rubric based on a lot of the same criteria, it will adjust and save another one for you.
Okay. Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Can you do rubrics on discussion board?
Yeah.
Okay.
So can you show that, I'm not finding how to do a turn-it-in assignment.
Yeah.
The Turnitin?
Yeah.
The Turnitin assignment is when you go over to your assignments.
Right.
And I actually can add an assignment. So you either you find your assignments or you're gonna add a new assignment there.
Right.
And to get to Turnitin, it's gonna be under the assignment group.
So you must have.
No, it's a submission type.
Yeah.
Go to submission type,
Where it says online.
up a little bit there.
Online, okay,
And
okay.
then external tool.
Oh.
Mhm.
So you have to click both.
And then you type in turn it in there,
Oh.
and click find, and it'll link it. I know.
See,
this
that's-
was my problem. Yeah. Yeah.
There it is.
Once you find it, I think it integrates really nicely, better than Blackboard or
Okay.
Moodle. Yeah.
Cause I don't, so the assignment groups you created.
Yes.
Yes.
So the fact that you have a turn-it-in group is not universal. Okay.
Yeah. So you have to create a turn it in assignment. Yeah. It's submission type external tool. It's a little tricky to find.
Yeah, there's the two areas that you need to make sure you click on the Turnitin on there. And if not, students will let you know the first time they have to submit something. I do recommend too, which I did, and it was so helpful, the very first email I sent out last semester, and I'm gonna do it again. I just said that I'm new to Canvas, I've, changed everything over, and I say the first student that politely notifies me that if there's a broken link or something's not working, I'll give them 5 extra credit points. And, it didn't happen that often, but it was very nice, and it really helped me learn what was working and wasn't working. And then students also felt that they don't have to struggle. If there was an issue, they can feel comfortable to contact me right away, because we all will have errors. It's a new system for all of us there. Okay. What else I wanted to cover? Everything, though, in assignments, again, discussions, quizzes, will populate over to the grade book. And so grade book that we're gonna find as instructors is what students will see as grades. We just get to see all the students in it. And so you would just click on grades, and these are just the class I just took an old class here and I kind of converted it over. The way that the grade book defaults to, it organizes among the assignment type. And so you can see that I have all the quizzes up there, that, I have my discussions, and then it will go to all my activities. Some instructors don't like the assignment type. They rather have it, default or change it to when things were due. And so that's real easy to change it. Just go up over here and you can arrange it by the due date. So again, you had to put a due date for every single assignment. you can go ahead and change that there. I also, one thing that I really like is that a lot of us will have students come to our offices, speak to us, and it was clunky in Blackboard. You want to hide all the other students. And in Canvas, you can literally hide student names right here. And it makes it easy, so you could share just the student's information. I haven't played around with it, but I do know there's a lot of control panels too, where you get a lot of information on individual students that you could share with them. But for the grade book, it's real easy to actually hide particular students.
Where would you put in like participation? Something that wasn't an assignment, but maybe you put it at the very end?
You could actually put it wherever you wanted to put it, but you still, again, would have to make that participation an assignment.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Okay.
And even if you're not gonna, participation put points with it, but you wanna know, that you would have put it with 0, or participation's 10 points, and you would put that down. There also, and I have not used it, but if you go out, you'll be able to see that on the side, you do have isn't there like a participation? Is it not showing? I saw it the other day.
Attendance?
You can change the name.
Attendance. Wasn't there attendance link on the other side that some students have used?
Mine has it.
Can I say something really quick, Gail? So in Blackboard, you can add a column from the grade book. You can't do that.
Okay.
So you have to go to assignments and click add a grade, and that's where you do participation.
Okay.
You said it's a non-
Can you do attendance?
That's a frustration if you're used to doing that in Blackboard, like, oh, I can just drop a column right here.
Right.
You have to go to assignments and add it there, and then it goes to the grade book.
Because I just look at the grade book and say, where do I add the columns? So
Under settings. You go under settings, and settings is down at the bottom.
You know, the tab that says navigation.
yeah, because in Blackboard it's add column, but yeah, okay.
I got a good question of how do we go around and have the sidebar, what they can see and what they can't see? If you go to settings and then you go to navigation, what you're gonna do is maybe I don't want students to actually see the modules that way. I only want them to go to homepage. All you have to do is drop it down here. Now students aren't gonna see it. And here, there is that attendance. Maybe I do wanna have attendance link and I want students to be able to see that. I can move that up there. So it's actually very easy to kind of drop and drag within the canvas of what you want students to see and what you don't want them to see there. Okay. I think I had something else.
Can you set up where your home is? Like, I know on Blackboard I can say if I wanted, not a module, but say I wanted to show when they go on, to show a certain unit.
What, your entry page?
Your entry page, like.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Homepage on the right side.
The home page is gonna be
You can
always
say-
their entry page, but your home page doesn't have to look like this.
Okay, but I can
it'll-
change it?
Everybody's homepage is entirely different. We saw it, I know that earlier. It's kind of how you like to set up. The way, and I've had a couple questions how I set up my homepage, is I do use tables. And so what I've been able to do is that I will have, the different photos here to actually upload. And let me show you. So I made a table. I just used the table link over here. It's real easy to use it. You can insert table and then how many columns and everything that you want to use. And then with that, if I want to add, say, one more photo here, and I wanted to add another, say, module or content, I'm going to click on that. I need to upload an image. And I'm going to upload, I can use one of my existing images, or I can upload a new image. So make sure you have it in a file on your desk or your desktop. So I'm on the home page, and I'm editing my home page.
But, Gail, can you just show real quick, go to home and then
Okay.
choose homepage so you can see there's other
Yeah, show the
ways of
options.
setting.
Okay, let me cancel this. So this is my front page.
Can you
So
do the
there's that-
choose homepage?
Yeah,
so
click
they
that
can see
choose
the
homepage
options
on the right.
On the right-hand side, so they can see how they can link to different things.
Oh, okay, that's
Okay.
exactly,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, that's fine, I like your homepage.
Yeah.
It's great,
Right.
but I was just curious,
So
If I
you
can
could
move-
choose,
change it.
I actually made my
model
homepage,
one
but you
on
can
the-
choose any one of these to be your homepage when you wanna go there. So there's other options to a homepage. Sorry, if I wanted my syllabus
There.
to be my homepage, the first thing that they're gonna see, they absolutely can actually see that as their first page.
And remember that syllabus in Canvas actually isn't just like a document necessarily.
It
It
opens
kind of
up.
automatically builds a syllabus for you based on the assignments in your class. So it's that, there are some, I think, of our group that use syllabus as homepage. Most of the group, like Gail, kind of made their own homepage, but syllabus is a pretty good option as well.
Yeah, yeah. Yes.
So
And there's-
sorry,
Go ahead, sorry.
when you first got onto this homepage, you don't get the edit. You only get edit if you link it to whatever place you decide.
Right.
There's actually one more step you have to do if you want to create a page like Gail did and choose it as the home page. You have to, on the pages link, set it to front page. Gail, could you show them that real quick? If you click on the pages tab and then view all pages, the blue button.
Okay, here.
I'm sorry, Gail.
Oh, this is good, this is good.
So if you go any one of these pages you've created, the little cog on the right hand side, except for that one because you've already said it. So
Right.
if you just a different page, pull that, and then see it says use as front page. You have to push that first, otherwise it won't show up when you go to choose the home page thing. You won't even let you choose a page. So you have to set it as a front page first, and then go back, choose home page, and it'll give you that option.
And
Thank
those are all the pages that we've created
Exactly.
so far in our class.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and you won't. That'll be blank if it's a brand new Canvas page and you haven't created pages. There won't be anything on there to choose.
Yeah, you'll wanna create a page of some sort first before you can actually do that. Thanks.
So I actually just started, I went to syllabus, I hadn't read anything, I thought if I can just do it without.
Yeah.
I went to syllabus and I uploaded files. So the pages comes in at what point?
Depends. If you're bringing content in from Blackboard, Canvas will interpret some things as pages. So I think get turned into pages.
Right.
I don't. Maybe folders get turned into
Like
pages.
everything gets turned into individual pages. If you have a folder with a bunch of, well, unless
Like
it's
a readings of like.
even if it's a document, it doesn't get.
It's wonky.
It's like almost everything gets created as a page.
So the starting point is a page really, upload a page and then,
Well,
I mean, how do you see it?
You create
Yeah.
the page, yeah. I mean, I think the key thing with Canvas is create the pages.
Create
If you're bringing pages over from Blackboard, you probably have to do what Gail did and copy and paste over that content.
Yeah.
Entry point is great.
And we create everything.
Or you just do it all, just start from
Such
scratch,
question.
throw it all.
It's so
I
much
know,
better to
totally.
start from scratch
Yeah.
than to actually, build this way. So has everybody, I mean, let me just show you just lastly, if we're gonna go, say you have any page, and it doesn't have to be your home page. You wanna put an image in. And the same thing if you wanna put videos in. You're pretty much gonna do the same. And where it's very easy, I wanna put, you're just, wherever you put the cursor, wherever you want the image to be set, you're gonna find the image, again, either you have it there already, or you wanna find a new image that you have in a file or on your desktop, and put an image here someplace at one point. I'm not sure what I name my image, so what I'll do here is, let's just say I'm gonna put this image there. I could click that, and it's just gonna populate. It's as easy as that. It's just clicking and it'll populate, and then you can make it the size that you wanna make it by making it larger, smaller, and again, just make sure that, don't make images so large that they can't find and read on some other tablet or another type of device there. And then you can easily go ahead and just type down below exactly what you want to name it. Save it.
And then does it link to?
Okay, and then if I want to link it, so there it is. See, these are hyperlinked. This one's not hyperlinked. All I'm going to do, again, I need to go under Edit, and I need to find now the file. I'm going to copy it, what file I want to hyperlink it to. And so maybe I want to hyperlink it, you get to discussion, maybe I wanna hyperlink it to, service learning that I have my students do, the information. See, I just gonna find this and you're gonna click on it, save it.
If you're linking it to somewhere else in the course, then you would use the links tab there, right? Rather than
Right, if
the
you want to
files tab.
link it or if you want a page, you just need to find out, and then it would be linked. This is actually, it's gonna link it to a document, but if I wanted to link it to another page, I would link it to another page.
How do you make your image accessible? So there's a tag for a
That's really
reader?
easy too. There's
Okay.
just the image
Be
button.
compliant.
If you go back to edit,
So, yeah, cause like all mine are linked to something, so I can just highlight that. And then again, if I wanna link it to, any one of, a module, I can link this to enter class here, the first of the module, or I can enter it to, I'm gonna be,
But to make it ADA
Dr. Seuss
compliant.
and introduce it to
in
myself.
the rich text editor next to the broken link button,
Okay.
there's this little like
Oh,
image.
okay.
If you click
Yeah.
on that, then it allows you to add it all text. You can
Okay.
change the size of it.
Okay.
The broken
I didn't
link.
know that.
Which one?
Just up above where,
Oh.
in the
Yeah,
rich
right.
text editor to your left, I'm sorry.
Next to the broken link, or the.
Yeah. Right there, yep, no, yeah, right.
Okay.
Oh.
If you click that, that's where you can do more things
Oh,
like
alt
alt text, and
Okay.
if you wanna really fine tune the dimensions, that kind of thing, you can do it there. You can also notice you can search, Flickr for images as well, which is kind of cool. If you're just looking for cool images, you can search for attribution-free images, Creative Commons licensed images in Flickr, which is a really nice repository of great images.
And the Canvas button is stuff that you've uploaded, put in your files. So if you have a bunch of images that you're gonna use, drop those in there and then you can easily add them.
Do you know, is it just each instructor, all of your images from other courses or just that particular course?
I'm not sure.
I think it's just that course.
I think it's.
It'd be great if it was all the courses, but
Yeah.
I haven't seen that.
That's true for files.
It's really easy to transfer though. between
Files
things.
are-
Yeah, and that's true, that's definitely true
Still
there.
gonna be your files.
Lastly is here is if you do want a YouTube video, I know we were talking about that earlier, if you wanted to, find any video to add, the coolest thing here is with YouTube, being a nutrition instructor, maybe I just wanna find a YouTube, video on my plate, all I have to do is type that in, and all the videos on YouTube are here. And see how easy it is? I just have to click embed. And it will bend right into the course. It's one of the coolest things.
Wow.
I could have a lot of video.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously Canvas works with YouTube very well with this.
Okay, thank you, Gail, thank you for that. Okay, our next workshop's scheduled to start at 11, which is not a whole lot of. Thank you all for being here, many of you have been here all morning. We have one more session that's scheduled to go till 11:50, we're starting a little late, so we'll give Billy a little leeway if he wants to run. And then we'll have a break from noon to 1, and the afternoon sessions start up again at 1. So again, thank you all for being here. There might be a couple of you that haven't been in any of the workshops yet this morning, so we had a quick run through with faculty demoing what they've done already in Canvas, and then we had a session that was more on kind of the basics of adding content and setting up assignments and using the gradebook. And now Billy's going to get a little bit more into just course design and organization issues with the use of Canvas, but we have been videoing these, so we'll hopefully have these processed and up as soon as possible on the TIC website. It usually would take a week or so for us to do that, but if you want to review some of the things that you missed. But we'll turn it over to Billy and take it away.
Good, thank you. Okay, I have a little laser pointer just in case. No, I don't. Thought I did. Okay, so, good. Before I get started, I just want to mention, this is going to be recorded, obviously, as Jim said, but I've also created this little course for you. And if you want to self-enroll in it, I know this is a very long, weird enrollment key, but this is how you do it. I sent an email to everybody yesterday, so if you were signed up yesterday, thank you. Then, okay, good. I don't know if I'll use it or not, but thanks, Rob. But if you want to do that, you can get access to this, and pretty much everything I'm going to say, I've created these videos. I'm not going to play them for you and stand here, but I'm going to play them because it's tricky to do the things that I'm going to try and do in front of everybody. So what I've done, if you enroll in this class right now, what you'll do is you'll get access to this, and I put some files. You know, if you have a course open, if you have a Canvas shell already created and you want to play with some content, that's what I'm hoping you'll do a little bit, because we're going to create an assignment. And you don't have to use the stuff that I've given you, but if you want to, you can. So just to give you a sense of what I have here. So I have these, a PowerPoint of everything I'm going to talk about, and then this playlist of 6 videos. It's like 35 or 40 minutes. I did this mostly for myself, but I figured it would be something useful for you as a resource, because I'm going to talk about a lot of things, and it's like, sure, you can watch me talk about it, but I'm hoping if you're like, what button do I have to click to get that thing to work right? You can go back and look at these videos. So they're up, already available here if you enroll there. Okay. I could also email you this if you send me an email at wgun@miracosta.edu. I'd be happy to email you the playlist and the PowerPoint.
.com in that URL.
Instructure.com.
That's why it didn't work.
Sorry. Thank you, Nolan. You always point out my faults. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. This is where we start. All right. So the cool thing about designing a course in Canvas, at least for me, it's been an opportunity to look at the big picture of things. So, my workshop title is Course Design, Canvas Course Design Overview. That's a lot of things, and all of us design courses in very different ways. And so these are the questions, and I kind of talked about this already, but you need to think about how you design your course, how you like to structure things, and then a big one, because some of us are teaching online, some of us are teaching face-to-face. What do you ask your course management system to do? Some of us ask it to do a lot. Some of us don't. We ask, it's a place where you put files, and maybe you have a few assignments there. So it totally depends on your needs. And then the other thing I think it's important to think about too as you're going through this process today is, what are your specific concerns with Canvas? And if you can articulate them, you can probably get an answer pretty easily. Because the reality is that Canvas and Moodle and Blackboard, they all do the same thing. They just do it in slightly different ways. So, this thing with the gradebook that we were talking about a minute ago, right? You can't add a column from the gradebook. And I taught a workshop in December, and this was a huge hang-up. This whole workshop, someone was sitting there going, but I can't add a column, but I can add a column. It's like, you can, you just have to do it a different way. So there's a way to do pretty much everything. There are limitations, and Curry will tell you all about them. But for the most part, they do the same thing as Blackboard and Moodle. So don't get too worked up. These are the basic objectives. Yeah, question? No,
I'm
you're
just
good?
laughing.
Oh, okay. I try and be funny. So sometimes it works. They're turning into dad jokes slowly. So I'm hoping that you can do a little bit hands-on today. I know that's tricky, but if you got that email and I sent you a Dropbox link to some documents, please feel free to play with those or play with them yourself. So we're going to look at how modules and pages are two different approaches. So we're going to create a module, and we're going to create a page, not a really elaborate page, but a slightly more elaborate page than just text and an image. And then the hope is that you can practice doing this, get a little bit of that in your muscle memory. That's really the key here. If you do something with any of these course management systems, I've done this in Moodle. I've been teaching in Moodle for 7 or 8 years, and it's like I created all these assignments, right? And you have to do something that you haven't done in 2 years. You have to learn it all over again, right? So we're all going through this process. And just like that first time you had to teach composition, Curry, right? You were one step ahead of the students. That's how we are as the Canvas transition team. We're kind of just one step ahead of you. So for us, this is a big process as well. Keep that in mind. Okay, so the first thing that I want to look at here, so the idea behind this is that, okay, what do? You get your course. You have to create it. Where do you do? You're starting completely from scratch, right? So the first thing that I think you have to do is figure out your course navigation menu. Before we do this, let me ask you a question. How do you design your course? where do you start? What's the first thing you do?
Syllabus.
Okay.
Lecture schedule.
Syllabus, objectives, all right? Objectives, yeah. Assignments,
I look at the SLOs.
that's what I wanted to hear. Assignments, SLOs, yeah. Okay, so I teach Introduction to Film, right? So I have Film 101. Film 101. I have 2 SLOs, right? And then I have a bunch of modules, which include assignments, which includes content, right? That support, hopefully, right, these SLOs. So for me, as I'm thinking about how I'm gonna do this, how are you gonna support that process? So you gotta kind of work backwards, right? I mean, a lot of times, especially when we're migrating content, we're worried about this stuff, right? We're worried about all the modules and then what comes within that module. So take a step back and think, okay, how am I gonna structure this? And that's why I wanna start with the course navigation menu. Here's my first video, and I'm not gonna play the sound, hopefully. Where's the mute? Okay, so when you first get into Canvas, right, you have this dashboard. This right here is your global navigation menu, all right? And that's always gonna live there. That's one of the nice things. So if you can always get to courses, groups, the calendar, the inbox, which is where you're gonna have your messages, Commons, which is something different, which I won't talk about much today. So I'm gonna click on this course design overview. So this is what it looked like before I even started, okay? So this is this course that I created. Now if you go here, it's gonna look a little different. So the first thing I wanna do is figure out, what do I wanna do with this menu, right? I have my global navigation menu here, and then I have the course navigation menu here, right? So you're gonna go into settings, and everything on top is available, right? I'm gonna drag the things down that I don't want. And I mean, my sense is keeping it simple is best. If you have elaborate structures in place and you wanna do those workarounds like Curry and Robert have done, then you should, and there are ways to do it. For me, I'm gonna not fight the systems, just kind of who I am. I'm gonna just do modules, right? And what I've decided I'm gonna do this next semester is even limit more than I did last semester, and so that I can have a little bit more focus on the way that learning path goes, or sorry, have a little bit more control over the way that learning path goes for students. But this is how you start with that. I wanna have my home button, I wanna have my syllabus next, then I wanna have my modules, grades, and people. So that's how you first kind of manipulate that course navigation menu. And be sure, let me go back here. Be sure to hit save.
Yeah.
This is something you'll learn in Canvas. At the bottom of every page, there's a blue button that says update or save. If I move all that and then hit homepage, or none of it got saved, okay? And I get burned in these videos a few times showing you how to do it right.
It's frustrating.
Yeah, yes?
I was looking down, how did you get to the conference collaboration and all the settings?
Exactly. Did you download them from Blackboard?
Download
All
what
of
from
this
Blackboard?
information. you
All of
have.
that is there. So when you get into Canvas,
All
this
of
is what
it's
it looks
there.
like. This is all there.
Oh.
So this is kind of what I'm wanting. This is why we're starting from the very beginning, right? You log into Canvas, you click on your course, it looks like this.
It
It's
doesn't
blank.
at first, you have to hit the navigation button. Yeah.
What's that?
Because it gives you the course, it sets you here, and you have to click on the navigation to get
Oh,
this.
yes, you're right. I'm so sorry.
So
You're
that's
so
what it looks
sorry.
like when
Thank
you
you
first-
for pointing that out. So let me show this really quickly. Thank you for pointing that out. So if we're on the on a settings page, sorry about that. Yeah, you got to click on navigation. Okay, sorry. Duh. All right. So these tabs up here, the navigation is how you are going to set that course navigation menu. Yeah.
As we're playing around in these, how do the students know which one is our live one? Because I noticed I have a shelf for Canvas and I have a shelf for my Blackboard.
Yeah, it's a good question, and there are workarounds. What I would recommend everyone do is Karen in here? No. Okay. So email Karen Corson. worked so hard. Ask her to create a sandbox for you. And that's a place you can play with things.
Or can you inactivate, because I already started playing with the.
So this is a good question, and I think it's something that I'm gonna try to get all faculty to be aware of, even the faculty that are staying with Blackboard for a while. So even though you have courses in both Blackboard and Canvas, they're not published. They're not available to students until you publish them. So there's a procedure for doing that in Blackboard, everybody knows about. In Canvas, you have to publish the course, and then students will see it when they log in.
So really quick, sorry Jim for cutting you off, but
please.
right here, course is published. If I want to unpublish it and kick all you off, I click right there, and this turns into a, no it doesn't. How do I unpublish it, Jim?
Oh, you have to go to the.
I think it's from the home.
It's on the home page.
It's on the home page.
Yeah,
No.
unpublished.
Where is it?
Where was it?
It's on the home page on the right side under course status.
It could be that you have students in here already.
Oh, so I can't unpublish
Oh,
it if
yeah,
I don't want to, I guess. It's not in settings.
Once you have students.
In the activities.
Oh, okay, yeah, I see it, because yours is, yeah.
Yeah, we have it up on the
It's
top.
It has
around.
options, it's one's
Under
in
course
pink
status.
and one's in white.
It's right under course status. It says
Oh, I
unpublished,
see.
unpublished, but yours doesn't have it on the
I don't
upper
think
right.
once you have
It's
students.
at the side.
Yeah, that's
I don't know how to do it.
right. Typically it would be at the home page at
Yeah.
on the upper right.
So yours are going to be unpublished until
Yeah, I
you
can see
publish
it,
them.
yeah.
Yeah, there should be a big red button that
Right
says unpublished until you
Yeah, I found it.
publish
Yeah.
Right.
So
that.
it is unpublished.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
And it probably is because this is an older course that had students.
You don't wanna publish everything.
But shouldn't you be able to
Should
close
still
it
be able to-
down?
yeah.
Close it
I'm
down
not
when
sure
the
why
course
it's
is
not
over?
here.
I'm sure there's a way. You can make it unavailable, so I could right here,
Oh.
I could set the start and end
It
date.
actually is unavailable. It's already ended.
Which is probably.
Oh, because this is my other class.
Yeah.
Okay. This is my class from last semester.
Yeah.
This is the class I'm showing you right now.
This thing.
Add your green button.
So you
Yeah,
only
there's your
publish.
green, there it
So
is.
there it is.
Publish
There's
on.
So I could unpublish by clicking right here.
Right. So anyway, let me just finish the thought. Those of you that are teaching online classes, this is probably especially important because students don't necessarily walk into a class and get to hear from you how their online presence for that class is managed. So hopefully everybody knows about this, but I know a lot of faculty don't. We have, if you go to miracosta.edu/online, which is kind of the home base for the online education program, there's a link there to the online course schedule. That's a separate schedule from SURF that pulls out all online and hybrid classes and gives you as the instructor the ability to add extra notes for students. How do I get started? Where do you want me to go to sign up for things? Which course management system are we using? If you haven't used that before, it's really great. And I think now, even more than ever, students who are in online classes are going to be going to that site to try to figure out, where do I even start? So that's one thing, is to put that information for your online and hybrid classes in that place. The second thing is Blackboard is still going to be the default for most students. So you could always, in your Blackboard shell that's set up for your class, even if you're teaching in Canvas, make that active and just put a little note, we're using Canvas, and here's the link, and you can just provide the URL that links directly to your Canvas class. So even if students go to Blackboard first looking for your class, they'll think they found it, but then they'll see that note, and they can just click, and it'll take them over to Canvas. So that would be my recommendation. I've had inquiries from faculty too, can I set up both and sort of try out a little bit in Canvas and do the rest in Blackboard? Sure, that's fine, you could do it that way too. If you just wanna run one module in Canvas to see what it's like, you could certainly do that. You don't have, it's not all or nothing.
Well, does it,
Yeah, of course.
I
I
can
mean,
use
there
students
would
a
be
little.
some complications for you, but. Yeah.
does it copy over nicely? So, cause my strategy was to just do the unpublished, get it all ready and play with it, and then for the next fall,
Oh, to copy
it.
from Canvas course to Canvas course?
Does it
Yes,
copy well?
absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's not going anywhere, right? It'll stay there, it'll be archived,
Right.
so it's not gonna get deleted or anything.
And if it's unpublished, then it is our little sandbox.
Exactly.
Exactly. And so that's what I'm hoping, if you're following along and you wanna practice some of this stuff or play with what we're doing, please do that. And yeah, I provided some of that content. Okay, so I've quickly realized that I'm probably not gonna get through anything that I wanted to talk about. But I have 40 minutes worth of videos for you guys to sit at home and you can see me here in my dreary office.
Yeah.
way far away. So good. So the next thing we're going to do, so we've set that course navigation menu. I hit save. The next thing I'm going to do is create a module, okay? And you'll notice that these things are grayed out, even though I said I want to make modules available, right? When we set this menu, right? It's up here, right? But it's gray because there's not a module in there. So before you can have a module, you have to create one, right? So here's how you do that. Click on modules. All right. So I'm going to click on modules here in my video any second now. There we go. And then you're going to click on plus module in the top right-hand corner. Name that module. It could be anything, right? Module 1, Chapter 1, Week 1. We're going to call it the Citizen Kane module. So you all got for free a week of my class. You can pay me for that later. So what am I doing now? So I've created a module. The next thing I'm going to do, and it's one of the things Gail talked about, is setting that home page. We kind of covered that at the very end of the last session. So the home page can be set to be various things. And now that there's a module, we can send some information to there. But I'm going to create a page first. So what I did was I clicked on Pages right here. Let me go back 1 second. All right, so I'm going to click on Pages. And then plus page up there, right, in the top right-hand corner. I'm just calling it the home page. And this changed a little bit over time, but this is that same rich content editor. There's no content in here yet, and I'll show you how to add things to that files repository in a minute in one of these videos. I think I want to emphasize again what Robert Kelly said about using headers and paragraph. It's really nice for students with disabilities who have accessibility issues to kind of structure that way if you can. You can still play with font sizes, but like the coding on the will at least indicate how information is, kind of the hierarchy of the information. So this is me creating a very, very basic home page. I'm going to hit save here any second. So what I've done, what I just did there, I'm going to go back. So what I did here was, what I want to do, so this is the way I design my class. I like to have those modules there. You can fancy these up later if you want to create some of the, grab some of the HTML code that Curry talked about, or create a table like Gail did. You can create kind of a structure for that. But what I did was I'm going to just create the Citizen Kane module as a list, as an item in a list. Let me show you how I did that one more time. So after I created that first page, that first module that we called Citizen Kane module, if you remember, we did that a minute ago. Now it lives over here in the content of your course. So I can add that to any page. If I ever want to create a link to a file, I just have to put it somewhere first, right? So that's the module. So I'm going to create this link to the module by clicking on Links, Modules, and then select the module. And you'll see how it kind of really nicely auto-populates over here. Really cool. And then at the end, you got to be sure to hit save, which I'm going to do in a second. Right. So the next step is going to be to set the home page, which we've kind of already done with Gail. So just following along what we've done, we've set the course navigation menu, we created a module, we created a page. Now we're going to set the home page here. You could. That's a really good question. So let me jump in right here. I'm gonna go to modules creating a module, and it's actually, you know what, I'm going to continue this video because it's the very next thing that I do. We're going to create a module in just a second, okay? First, I'm going to just show you, once again, how to set this home page really quickly. So again, these videos are available, so don't feel like you have to follow this. So as Curry showed us and Gail showed us, you go to Pages. What am I doing now? I'm going to click on Choose Home Page right here. Okay, so we're choosing the home page, right? Which you do from this upper right-hand corner right here. Choose home page, and then you are given some various options to choose from, right? So it can be the course activity stream, it can be course modules, it can be assignment list, it can be the syllabus, and you may want to have it be the syllabus. I mean, that could totally work for you if that's the way you want to structure the course. I like to create my own page, and so that's what I did. I want to have kind of a sort of unique home page. And the main reason for that is that the homepage really is the hub for the whole class. As you've seen, all of these kind of walkthroughs of these courses, they all really focus on the importance of that homepage as a hub for getting everything that you need in the class. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do here is add some content to the module. Yeah, go ahead.
When you
Question.
went to choose homepage, the pages, front page is grayed out. Why is that?
Have you created a page yet?
Yes.
Okay, so go to Pages. So if you click on Pages, and be sure to click on View All Pages, this blue button here. Sorry, did I go too quickly?
Yes.
This blue button up here, View All Pages.
I don't have that, so I don't have that.
Did you create a page?
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? You know what we did? We did the thing that Robert told me to remind everyone to do. We didn't publish that page. Okay? So, how do we want to do that?
Click on, so you have the green, so the check where it's on the right, there's a gray one, you can hit that.
Yeah, so is it grayed out here? So if you click to publish it, did that work?
Yeah.
Okay, now you should be able to click on the gear icon and click and select Use as Front Page.
Okay. What's the difference between front page and home page?
Same thing. Okay.
Well, front page
Go ahead. Yeah.
is a page that could become the home page, but the home page you choose between a front page and those other options, the syllabus or modules or other things.
It could change. So say I'm teaching a class and I know we're on module 3 and I want module 3 to be the front page. I could go there, right? I could come to my pages and I'd be like, okay, I want my module 1 summary to be the front page. So I could click that to use as front page. That way students would know exactly where we are in the class. But you kind of would have to change that weekly or however you want them to deal with it.
You could put it on the schedule?
Yeah. I don't know if you can do a release schedule for setting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Front page is also the first page you'll see when you click on the Pages menu.
Okay.
So, and then you have that View All Pages. So if you don't necessarily want to use a page as your home page, right? But you want to make the page menu tab available to students, but you don't want them to see this big, huge list of things, right? You wanted to present them with something like, click on the this to find these things. You know, you could use that as home page.
Okay. Good. Any other questions? Good. Okay. I'm going to jump back here. The next thing I'm going to do is show you how to access the files repository, because for me, I like to add documents to the pages. And before you can add a document to a page, you have to go into Files, all right? So I just clicked on Files over here. This folder is empty. I'm going to create a new folder. So if you click on the plus button, which I'm going to do here in a second, and then think about how you're going to structure this. This is something that if you're going to use the files repository, think about the most logical way you want to access this. I create a lot of folders for each. I create a folder for each module essentially. So I'm going to add a folder. I'm going to call it the Citizen Kane module. And then as you're going to see, I'm going to drag And I think I showed you this at the very beginning. If you were here in the morning, I talked about this for a second. But you can just, if you have a window open on your desktop with documents in it, you highlight them and just drag them up to that, to the files. And they upload pretty quickly. And you can do, I don't know how many you can do at one time, but I've never done more than it said you can't do that many. So, you can do a bunch. So this seems weird to do, but the reason why I kind of put this flow chart here is because if you kind of have to have all the stuff in here before you can build these. And it's it's not counterintuitive, but maybe it is because I don't know, the way we usually think about a class, right? You start with your syllabus. Here, when you're building the class, you have to have content to add, right? So now that the content's there, we can really easily build a page or a module using this content. So that's the next thing I'm going to do here. I don't know if I'm doing anything else on this. I just created another random page for no reason. Okay, so we're good there. Okay, so here's what we've done. We just set the home page, we added documents and images. The next thing we're going to do is talk about the module approach, and this is really the most basic way to create a module. It'd be semi-repetitive with what we've been talking about all day, but just to give you a sense of how you do this, right? So we've added that content. Now there's something there to create. So we'll start here, and we'll create that module, right? So I'm going to click on modules here in just a second. Come on, speed up. This is me talking. Okay. Sorry. So I clicked on modules. Let me pause this for 1 sec. Okay, before we go there, one of the things that I talked about this morning, and I want to reiterate it one more time, and it's one of the challenges with Canvas, I think, is that there are these multiple entry points. So students can access modules sometimes before they can access assignments before they access the content, right? Because once you have an assignment in there, unless you create these requirements that make them do certain things before they can access it, which is, you can do it and it's not a bad idea, but it's tricky to do, they can go out of order. So that's just one thing to keep in mind, but we're going to build this module here. So click on modules. And then everything is really, so this is the most basic, right? This is our first module. There's nothing in it yet. I'm creating another module again that I'm not going to use. Okay, so we're going to add something to the Citizen Code module. So notice how easy this is. Since we already put that content in the files repository, and again, these publishing buttons are really important. If you don't publish them, they won't be available to students. So if you just make sure before you run that course that you publish them, and you do have to publish them individually. Okay, so here I'm adding content to the module, all right? So we clicked on, I'm talking and maybe you didn't quite follow that. So what I did was I clicked on this plus button up here. Okay, go. Okay, so I'm going to click on the plus button right here to add content to the module. And then you have some options, all right? These are the different types of things you can add. You can do a quiz, files, which I'm going to add right now. So one of the cool things here is if you want to create an assignment, you can do it right here from the module, which is kind of cool. You can also do it over here under assignments, right? But this is pretty much, if you're building a module, you can do a lot of things right here from the modules page. So I'm just going to add some files right now, which is going to be a little easier. But I'm not going to get to it, I don't think, today in the next few minutes, but I do show how to add an assignment here as well. All right, so those documents there that you see, those were the things that I put in that files repository, right? So these are the documents I just uploaded. They're here under that folder, right? So all I do is click on them, hit add item, and then watch what happens. So I'm going to click. here's another little secret if you're teaching face-to-face, but you want to put some things online and not show them everything that's on there. Like, I have a PowerPoint that I use in class, right? And I have a remote that helps me go through it more easily. I don't want to give them a PowerPoint necessarily, and maybe I don't want to give them all the content that they can download. I want to make them come to class maybe. So I'm going to create a PDF that's not editable and doesn't have all the content of my PowerPoint. And I can store those here in the files repository, and when I go to class, I log into Canvas and I open up my PowerPoint and I'm ready to go. I don't have to bring anything with me, which is nice.
But just make sure you don't publish it, because that's where the difference. You can have it unpublished and you'll see it, the students won't.
Yeah, but like the PowerPoint, I'll never post it anywhere. And the files, I don't let them access the files, and I'll never put up the PowerPoint on a page. But that's a good point. If you put it on the page, then obviously they can get it. Yeah. Okay.
But you could put the PowerPoint just as something in the module, but not publish it.
Yeah.
And then you
Yeah.
can go to the module and
Thank you,
bring it
yeah.
up, but the students wouldn't be seeing it.
Cool. Sorry, I didn't follow that, Gail. Okay, so I've added some content here, and I do this over and over again that you don't need to see. So pretty quickly, within a matter of seconds, I'm able to add. For me, I have these 3 mini lectures for this module in class. They're like, I have narrated videos that I'm also gonna create in a content page too. So the next thing that I want to do now is create an assignment. So if you have assignments that you imported from another class, from Blackboard or from Moodle, they do import pretty well, and we've talked about that a lot today. And Gail did a great job showing us how to do that. This is how you're going to create one from scratch. Okay, so I have a Word document with all my assignments for the week, with all the text in there. And so I'm going to add one more thing to the module, but instead of it being apparently I already created that assignment, but I deleted it because I want to show you how to do it. So one of the things here, you'll notice assignment types. This is actually important to remember. So you have assignments, discussions, and quizzes. Those are kind of the 3 big assignment types. Assignments don't let you have multiple questions. So if you have like an actual quiz with multiple questions, whether that's a multiple choice question or an essay question, you want to make sure you do quizzes. Okay? So I'm going to create a quiz here. And again, you can create it here from the quizzes menu in the course navigation, or you can do it from the modules page too. I'm going to create it from the quizzes page. So I'm going to click on plus quiz here. And then once you click on plus quiz, it looks like this, right? So I'm going to add a new quiz. If you imported quizzes, they would show up here, all right? And you could just click on them and say add a quiz. If you already have your quiz 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and you imported them from Blackboard, super easy to add, right? I'm going to create a new one, and I mean, you kind of did this, Gail, so I don't necessarily want to walk you through the individual elements, but certainly like creating the making the settings for that quiz, that's an important thing to do. So you click on edit, and then you add your instructions, and then as you go down into these areas here, is it a graded quiz? Do I want to allow multiple attempts, right? You have all these standard options that you pretty much have in any course management system.
Billy?
Yeah.
This was confusing for me. Are quizzes considered assignments in the assignment group, right? Is that, do you see what I'm saying right there? It says assignment group. Is assignment and quiz the same thing?
It depends on how you want to do it. So from there, so if I'm creating a new assignment, right, you can click on, let me go back. Yeah, so on assignment group here, yeah. I left it under assignments, but if you click there, it's a drop down, and you can select add a new assignment group. And so if you, like for me, I have I mean, it's arbitrary, right? I have quizzes, assignments, and essays, and exams. Those are my assignment groups. You can create them directly from here, or you can create them from assignments as well.
The point of the assignment group is basically gradebook organization.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So it's categories. Yeah. And you can do that after the fact. This is actually a good time to bounce over here. I wanted to show you this. So this is my class from last, I'm not going to do that. This is the class I taught in the fall. So if you go to assignments here, this is for the whole semester. So all my assignments are in here. So here's my groups: participation, discussion, quizzes, essay. So I've created all of these categories, right? But you could, after the fact, you could just add everything as an assignment, and then you can create a new group, and you can drag them. So you can just have a big list and say, oh, actually that's not a midterm, that's a quiz. And now it's a quiz in the gradebook, which is really awesome. So
always dragging and dropping too. One thing I want to say in the modules, when you do the modules and you go, because when you hit next, the way students are going to see it's in the organization that you set it up in the module. So maybe you go, I really want my quizzes earlier in the semester. You go back to the module page, and just like he's doing now, you can drag and drop that page wherever you want it to be.
Yeah. And ultimately, this is how, unless you organize your grade book by due date, which you do from the grade book, which Gail showed you, this is how you're going to organize your grade book. It's under assignments, and you're going to drag them to the appropriate category, to the appropriate group. Okay? And you can easily create a new group or delete a group. Yeah.
And I see that you're using like weighted criteria, right?
Yeah. Super easy to do. Yeah. So if you click on the gear icon here, assignment groups weight. How do I change it? Edit. How do I do it? I haven't done it for a while. There we go. All right, so I can change those weights right from here. Really easy to do. Yeah. Cool. Good question. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So, okay, if I have like essay 4 already done in a Word doc, and would I put that, like, do I upload it as a file, and then I put it on it as a module, and that would be the best way, or part of
Yeah.
module 1 or something? That would be the best way for students to access it?
That's what I would do.
Okay.
So this is the sample module that I built for this little demonstration. So all the things I'm showing you how to do in the video, essentially it ends up looking like this. So if we click on modules, and I'm going to close that. So this is the Citizen Kane module that we were going to build. So yeah, so say, this is a lecture, but if it was an assignment, essay assignment, so you want to,
Like, I already have the 1-page assignment done.
Yeah.
In a Word doc.
Okay.
The assignment instructions.
What was that?
The instructions.
The instructions.
And how do they submit? Do they submit in hard copy?
Yeah.
Okay, so if they submit in hard copy, yeah, then you can set it. You can plop it right here in the module. So you'd put it in the files, and then you'd say you'd add a plus here, right?
Yeah.
And then you'd add a new file, right? And then it would go in there.
Okay.
Now, if you wanted to have them submitted online, you'd add a new assignment, and you could just copy and paste that in there. If you wanted them to actually submit online, yeah. But for a paper assignment, yeah.
But also, I mean, if you want to grade it and have that be in the gradebook, you still would do an assignment and put it as an offline thing, right?
Yeah, and in the assignment types, there are various ones, and one of them is on paper. So it basically just creates a column. Yeah. Good.
5 minutes, just so
Okay,
you know.
thank you. Okay, so made it about halfway through. But that's good. So you have more here. I'm just giving you homework, just what you need. So here's what we've done. We've looked at the navigation menu. We've looked at the modules. The next video is about designing this page. We also created a couple other assignments. We did a quiz, discussion board. The other thing in this video here in 3.1, if you want to see how to kind of add questions to an assignment or a quiz, if you want to see how to add questions to a quiz, that's a good one to watch. Because really what you do is you create the quiz first, you hit save, and then you go back in and edit, and it gives you the option to add questions. So that's just something to keep in mind, and maybe I'll just find that moment while we have a couple minutes here, because it is a little tricky to navigate the first time you create an assignment with questions or a quiz with questions. It's a little tricky. So this is me. I created the quiz. I put all the parameters in here. I hit save, and now I'm going to go up here and click edit, and you'll see that now it gives you the option here to add questions. Okay, so you click. I went too fast. Okay. Okay, so then here you can click on add a new question. Right? And that's how you're going to add your questions and assign it a point value and things like that. So that's how you add questions to a quiz. Of course, there are question types, right? You can do multiple choice, which are much more complicated to create the first time. But again, importing those works pretty well. Okay, so that's really the key thing I do in the second part there. Embedding links on a page, Gail did a good job, I think, giving you an introduction to that, but there's a little bit more here in this video, in the second one. And then here, the way that I really like to create the class is to do a page. I do kind of these big fancy pages. So my module, if we go to this home page, so my sample module, students in theory could access it two ways. They could go to modules, and here's my Citizen Kane module. It has a summary page which gives information on everything for the week. Then it has the lectures, then it has the 2 assignments, right? So they could access it like this, going through modules, or what I've done on the home page is I just want them to go to my summary page, which is a more elaborate page, and I show how to design this in the second to last video. I think it's the 4th or 5th one. So really what I do is I have everything that is in the module on a page, because for me, I don't want them to navigate through the modules. For me, it's just a little clunky. I feel like this is easier. Here's the lectures, and since this is an online class, the intro to film, I have narrated videos here, so I have PDFs and I have YouTube videos, and then I have my 2 assignments, and adding those assignments can be done with the rich content editor really easily. So this is what the edit page looks like, right? I added this image, my YouTube videos. By the way, so you can click YouTube, as Gail showed you, or you can just put a YouTube link in there, and it pretty much auto embeds 99% of the time. Although the embed is it looks a little different than if you click on the YouTube link here. The other thing you could do is, I like the way that if you steal the embed code from YouTube, I think it looks even better. So I actually steal the embed from YouTube and then paste it in, but that's me. So then my assignments are in here too, and then a couple other links. So essentially what I have is everything on the module on one page. So like for me, the way that a student navigates the class, right? They go to the home page, they click on module 1, everything's there. Lecture, assignment, additional materials. And then from the home page, module 2, lecture, assignment, additional materials. So that's the way I structure it. So it's like, click on the home page, click on the module, click on the thing that you want to do. That's it. It's like everything's 2-3 clicks away.
But when you're saying click on the module, are you talking about this page? Or are you talking about because I thought you didn't want him to go to the module.
No, I want them to go to this home page,
Okay.
and then I'm going to have a list of modules here.
Okay.
Or in the future, I'm going to have really nice images that say module 1 and have, something cool. And then I click there, right? And then they end up on this page.
So then would you actually turn off the link to the modules
Yes.
so they can't even go there?
Yes. That's my future plan. So say you want them to go in that order. I didn't create a video, but that's maybe the last part of this video that I didn't get to, is how to create those requirements so that you force them to go in a path. And Curry's going to talk more about that.
Well, no, I made a video.
Oh, Curry already made it, right?
So just put it on your page.
So and that's yeah, send it over. I'll add it to this page. Cool. How to do that path. So thank you. Lots of questions. Should I take a couple more questions before lunch, or should we kick them out?
Well, yeah, we can definitely.
Yeah, if you have any questions, yeah.
So you've chosen the structure of having one page per module.
Yeah.
So that everything's in one place. The intention, I think, was that you have a page for every task or activity, and that's where the next step comes in.
Yeah.
Within a module.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Sorry, I'm gonna go in this order. Yeah.
Within the module, could you have then on your module, those files that you don't want your students to see? Can you designate each file as do not share that
Yeah.
file?
Publish or unpublish.
Each individual file.
Item. Yeah. There's a button to publish the module, right? The little green or gray icon, and then there's a button to publish each item. Yep. Right over here. Right.
Is this platform compatible with all the Explorer, the internet, Google, Mozilla?
Yeah, I mean, in general, it's friendly with all of those.
Mac,
Yeah.
um,
Mhm.
Okay, which one's the best?
I like Chrome. I've used Chrome and I haven't had issues.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the only thing.
Yeah, I think in general, I would recommend people use Chrome and Firefox before anything else, and recommend that your students do as well. Internet Explorer has gotten better, but it still is far more problematic than most others.
When students submit an assignment, and the Blackboard sometimes, I have a PC, if they're submitting a Mac, if they don't submit in desktop, it's a problem for me. Is that same issue here, or is that,
The document type.
yeah?
That's become less and less of an issue over the years, but if that is a problem for you, I would recommend that you have them turn in maybe in PDF or some other type
We
of.
still have to do that.
I would specify
There's an option
type.
to restrict what kind of
Exactly.
sections you'll accept.
You can restrict.
You can only accept PDF or only accept, you can make a list through, so they can't just do something in InDesign or something.
Including a text submission. If you want them to be able to copy and paste, if it's an essay, that's probably not gonna work, but if it's, a short essay or a paragraph, they could just copy and paste the text too. That's not a document upload. So there are lots of options but yeah, I think that's always a problem, right? You gotta specify exactly what the file types.
But even if you do, they forget, the Mac users, can't
Yeah.
always open it.
Any caveats for downloading? I have almost everything on a thumb drive, and it can be downloaded pretty easily to Canvas.
Sure, I mean, first you would.
As long as it's saved.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it should be just like any other source that you might pull from. It should be fine. So just to close, I wanted to remind folks, or maybe for folks that weren't here earlier, tic.miracosta.edu, tic.miracosta.edu is kind of your home resource for all of the online education support that comes out of my office in online ed with Karen Korstad. And if you go under media and technology, there's a page for Canvas. And if you go to that page for Canvas, you'll see like the latest information about workshops that are coming up, labs that we'll offer, and there's videos of past workshops we've done. The videos that are being done here will add to this page. And if you scroll down a little further, you can revisit some of the tours that were given this morning with videos, and there are links to these courses that some of these folks have been sharing. For instance, Billy's course is now linked here where it just says explore some of. You keep scrolling down, there's tons of great resources for you as you're getting up and running with Canvas.